Someone paid 7 million euros to hire a hitman to assassinate a politician from another country. Despite the politician's tight security measures, as soon as he appeared, the hitman, positioned 3.8 kilometers away, fired a shot. The bullet flew for about 7 seconds, hitting his head with pinpoint accuracy. Afterward, the hitman, Charles, disguised himself as a businessman and successfully escaped to Paris, France. The mission was a complete success. However, Charles didn't expect the client to back out, refusing to pay the remaining 3 million euros and even insulting him. But the client would soon realize how serious the consequences of mocking a professional hitman could be. Before the mission began, Charles had already received the deposit, so he decided to trace the transaction through the bank transfer details to see who had the nerve to withhold the payment. However, the bank replied that they could not confirm the identity of the payer, only that the transfer originated from Munich, Germany. So Charles disguised himself and showed up at the bank. To protect the client's privacy, the bank could only tell him that the money had been transferred from a company account and provided the company's name. Although the information was limited, for someone as sharp as Charles, it was enough to start the investigation. He searched for the company online and, surprisingly, found a familiar face on the company's official website. It was the son of the politician he had just assassinated. It turned out the person who hired Charles was the politician's son. To lure the politician out, Charles had deliberately injured the son during the mission. The son, holding a grudge, refused to pay the remaining balance. Everything made sense now. However, Charles didn't rush to confront the son, named Fest, because he had an appointment with a major client. Charles unexpectedly appeared behind the woman representing the client. His price was $100 million, but the woman said her boss could only pay up to $50 million, offering $20 million upfront and the rest after the mission was completed, or else they would find someone else for the job. Charles was planning to retire after this deal. $50 million was more than enough to live comfortably for the rest of his life, so he agreed to her terms. As they were about to part ways, Charles asked the woman to look straight ahead, but she couldn't help but sneak a glance at his figure and height. After sealing the deal with the big client, Charles began to plan how to handle Fest, who had refused to pay. He crafted a simple bomb and packed it into a backpack. When Fest's driver arrived at the parking lot, Charles silently appeared behind him. The driver didn't notice a thing. Fest, escorted by his bodyguards, got into the car, completely unaware that the driver had been replaced by Charles. He didn't realize anything was wrong until Charles spoke up.
Wie geht's dem Bein?
Wer sind Sie?
Sie wissen, wer ich bin.
Charles made a sharp turn and drifted, quickly shaking off the car convoy. Fest, terrified, tried to jump out of the car, but the doors were locked. He could only call his bodyguards for help. However, Charles clearly knew the area well. In no time, he lost the bodyguards, driving the car into a remote alley. After successfully completing his revenge, Charles took off the driver's suit, set the timer for the bomb in the trunk, and quickly left the scene. By the time Fest's bodyguards arrived, the bomb exploded, and the transaction was finally and completely finished. Next up was the $50 million job.